Hello, y'all. I'm just getting started. I'm still getting everything set up, so bear with me for 1 second. I haven't been live in months. It's weird. I almost forgot how to set everything up. Hello. How are you, friend? Hi. It's been a long time since I've been on here. Good evening to you, too. I had some free time tonight, so I thought I would just hop on here because I have, uh, let's see, my clinical started in August. I don't know if I've been live since my clinical started. It's been a very, very long time. So this is just kind of like an open chat, open Q&A, just kind of hang out. You have a question for me. Okay, what's up? We'll see if I can answer it. Last time I announced wedding plans, it's been a while. It has been a while. Wedding plans are still in full-fledged. Oh, that's right, because last time that we really initiated a lot of the wedding planning right before my clinical started. Fortunately, we're kind of like in this place with the wedding planning where it's not quite a year away. It's in October. And so we're at this phase where it's like it's kind of chill right now, but not too long after the beginning of the year we'll have to kick back up into it again. Okay, so I can't say the word on here just because of like the guidelines and stuff, but essentially the question that I got was how can I get over the fact that my ex sexually assaulted me and he was a narcissist? I'm going to be really honest with you. First of all, I'm incredibly sorry that that happened to you and that you were violated in that way. Um, that's a very complex thing because you're not just dealing with the fact that your ex was a narcissistic individual, you're also dealing with that trauma. Um, I will tell you that I would highly recommend something called EMDR therapy that's been shown to be very, very effective on people with that particular trauma, and that because it was actually originally tested on like war veterans and working on people with PTSD. But when you go through an experience like that, it's pretty common to have PTSD, and ultimately, no matter what the experience is, PTSD works the same. EMDR works very, very well for that. I have not personally gone through it, but I have a lot of friends that I know and even clients that I know that have gone through EMDR, and they've all had nothing but good things to say about it. Um, so I would definitely consult more in the mental health profession field on that aspect of it. And just remember that no matter what was said to you, that you should never be violated in that way. And these people have a really good way of trying to twist things to make things our fault. And that's never excusable um, at all. Um, and then you can work on the narcissistic part separately because that's a whole nother topic, unfortunately. And doing things like what you're doing here, where you listen to other creators and learn about it and work through the different phases of that healing and stuff too. Any advice on nightmares about my ex? Ugh, I hated the nightmares thing. I'm not a dream expert. I am the first person to say that I'm not an expert on dreams, but I do have opinions on dreams, and especially in this context. I think that dreams are a way that we process certain things like in our subconscious mind. Like I think it's a way that our subconscious mind works on things that maybe we don't necessarily either have the time or we're not able to process in our conscious state. And I think it can bring some things up to light that maybe we haven't processed or haven't dealt with. Nightmares can also be a form of flashbacks. I didn't necessarily, ow, I just like pinched a nerve or something. I didn't necessarily deal with nightmares in the sense of flashbacks, but I just had, he would just like, was kind of in my dreams. It was very weird. Um, it was very weird. What I would do with these dreams, especially if I woke up in the middle of the night with them, I would actually immediately take my journal out and journal about my dream and process and try as best as I can to process whatever my brain was trying to process actively in that moment. So you can try that and see if that works. What's a good mantra to help push the negative spiraling thoughts that everything is your fault? Okay, I'm going to answer that question, but I'm going to also um, let you guys know about something. So I've started something brand new. I've never done something like this before, so I'm kind of excited about it. It is a 42-day road to recovery program. This program is designed where we would work together one-on-one. So if you're struggling with things like just breaking the trauma bond altogether, if you are struggling with these spiraling or obsessive or negative thoughts, or if you're also dealing with cognitive dissonance, this program is specifically designed for if you were in that stage of healing. Um, we would work the we would work together for 1 hour once a week, and you're given strategies to work on throughout the week to implement to help you break these cycles. This is the only time that this program is actually going to be one-on-one. It's moving to virtual after that. I'm in between clinical rotations, so I'm able to do it one-on-one. This is the only time that it's going to be that way. So right now, it's no video libraries, or you're not working through it on your own. You'd actually be working with me directly. I'm only going to be taking 10 people. I've already had 2 people sign up because I just launched it yesterday. So I still have 8 spots for it. And the first 5 people, they get an extra $100 off on it. So I do have that going on. So if you are, again, the top 3 things, if you're struggling with obsessive thinking, breaking the trauma bond, and cognitive dissonance, you are welcome to send me a direct message and ask me any questions you have. And also the links in my bio. If you're on TikTok, you just go straight to that. It's the information page. But if you're on Facebook or anything, feel free to DM me and I will send you the info that way. So I just want everybody to know that that's there. But a good mantra that actually helped me with the spiraling thoughts, I my mantra that I did actually was a little bit different. My mantra was more about like releasing the stuff, like more the specifically what was done to me. It wasn't always about the spiraling thoughts. What I did with the spiraling thoughts, instead of a mantra, it was more of a strategy. So I did something more of like, it's called stop and distract. So I would literally say like, nope, I'm not, I'm not doing this today. Like I would literally like kind of just stop myself in my tracks. One of the things that I'll just use an example. One of the things that I struggled with the most when it came to like this obsessive thinking of everything, it was actually like over the cheating and how all the details of that. So the mantra, I guess, that I said, I would literally tell myself, like, stop. You know what? His actions were not a reflection of my lack of worth. He did what he did because he is who he is. And that's it. And I would just leave it at that. And I would actually physically get up and go do something different. So instead of continuing to do whatever I was doing, not only would I mentally redirect myself, I would physically redirect myself. So you can create mantras for different things that you're dealing with. And this is one of those things that we would actually be working on together in the 42-day program, is figuring out what your specific struggles are. How do we map them? What triggers them? What do we and how do we stop it? How do we get it redirected before it gets too far down the line? Hi. So hopefully that helped. But like I said, if y'all have questions about the 42-day program specifically, don't hesitate to send me a DM. Oh gosh, my narcissistic husband passed away in August. Why do I miss him, and why am I not happy that he's gone? Well, we have to remember that this is a grieving process. Like, just because I was actually literally just talking to a client about this today. Just because that they ended up being a terrible person doesn't mean that we're not grieving them, because we're not necessarily grieving the terrible person. We're grieving the person that we fell in love with. And when there's this whole like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde concept that's happening in our brain, we fell in love with the Dr. Jekyll, but Mr. Hyde was revealed. We usually aren't grieving the Mr. Hyde. We're grieving the Dr. Jekyll because we're realizing that this person no longer existed. So it's almost like a death. It's just this person's still alive. So it actually makes complete sense that you're still, I don't even know if, and maybe you are, if you are missing them, that's probably what you're missing, but that's also most likely what you're grieving. But don't feel invalidated just because they were a terrible person. Like, that's not what you fell in love with. Nobody falls in love with that part. That's the part that everybody has the trauma from. Yay. I divorced my narcissist. I'm sorry, I don't know if you're still on here, but I divorced my narcissist. I've gone completely gray rock, almost non existent to him, and he won't leave me alone. I promise, just keep up with the gray rock and they'll get bored. Like, they'll get bored with the fact that you're gray rocking them. At first, it's like a challenge because usually what happens is they know how to press our buttons and they know what works with us. Well, when we switch to this like gray rock method and we're no longer reacting to the things that it's almost like a challenge for them at first. And then when you're consistent with the gray rock, that's the thing about narcissistic people. They're only going to put their effort in where their effort is working. So once they realize that the effort is not working with you, they'll get bored and they'll start their cycle with somebody else. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that before I make it more complicated. If y'all have ever been on my lives before, you know that I can get on rabbit trails and just go like this. My brain is a real fun place to live in sometimes. Ew, I think I'm getting a blister. Oh, I am. Ew, that's not attractive. Work out, they say. It's good for you, they say, but they don't tell you that it literally like blisters your hands. I don't even know if y'all can see that. My ring light's too bright. Okay. Sorry, I got a couple questions that like came in at one time, so just be patient with me, you guys. I'm on 3 different platforms right now, so this is not great for my ADD brain sometimes. Okay, my narcissist also had BPD and addiction. Was with him for 14 years. He left us with a new chick 2 weeks later. Found out he cheated with her before. I see red flags in everything, and how can I get past this? Okay, this is very common. Like seeing red flags in everything, like after you get out of these relationships. So first of all, don't feel crazy. Like literally, we all go through this, and you have to remember, like when we get betrayed like that, and this deep level of betrayal, it would make sense that we have trust issues. Like it just does. So what I would say to you is it's kind of like the spectrum. Like we're over here where maybe before we got into these relationships, we were maybe like very trusting with people. And then after these relationships are done, we're like way over here on the spectrum at first where it's like, I see a narcissist everywhere I look, which we don't, but that's what we think that we do. Or I see red flags everywhere I look. We don't, but that's how we feel. And it's fear-based because we're terrified of going through this again. And it's not even just in the dating world. This is just with people in general. And what you have to, I had to remind myself a lot, like not everybody is my ex. Just plain and simple, not everybody is my ex. Are there a lot of toxic people out there? Yes, especially if you're attracted to men. Sorry, ladies, I am too. I wish I wasn't. But here we are. So there's a lot of toxic men out there. And it's less about trusting other people and more about learning how do I trust myself that when I do see actual red flags, I don't excuse them, I act on them and go. It's the question's not funny. It's just ironic that you brought this up because I've been having people message me about wanting to people have been wanting me to put together like a dating again program and stuff. And I just don't know what I would do. I would love to do that. And I think it's needed, but I don't know. I don't know if it would be another, I don't know, but it's definitely needed out there. That's for sure. Because Lord knows There's a lot of things I should have been warned about that I was not. My therapist warned me about some stuff, and that definitely helped. So again, you guys, just in case you're just now hopping on, I announced it earlier, but I am launching a 6-week recovery program. It's 42 days to the road to recovery. If you're dealing with the trauma bond, cognitive dissonance, or the obsessive thinking, aka rumination, this program is specifically designed for you. It's going to help give you strategies for that you'll implement on a week-to-week basis, where we literally kind of like unwind all of this, like piece by piece, and lay the foundation so you can really start rebuilding. Because if you can't get out of this obsessive thinking, trauma bond, cognitive dissonance thing, it's very hard to move forward. So this is the only time that this program is going to actually be one-on-one. It's moving to virtual after this. And because it's one-on-one and it's brand new, it's already discounted. So this is the lowest price I'm going to offer it at. And I'm only taking 10 people. I've already had 2 sign up. So I only have 8 spots left. If you are interested or just want more info, send me a DM. If you're on TikTok, it's on the link in my bio as well. And you can just go and get the information there too. Or you can just send me a DM, either one. Yeah, I just had a bunch of comments hit at one time. I need a program on how to deal with men or what they are thinking. They don't know. Again, I am one. I can tell you, they don't know. I am one and I date one. So it's like a double whammy. Like they don't know. They don't know what they're thinking. They don't know. If y'all are following Stronger Than Before, she and I are actually about to do a collaboration about nice guys. And I'm very excited about it. Because she talks about that a lot. And I was like, girl, bring me in on this, please. So stay tuned. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be like an interview or like whatever, but we're going to be working on something. Do they ever come back after love bombing the main supply? Can you elaborate on that? Like, do they come back to who after love bombing the main supply? Oh, that's sweet, Bella. Thank you. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Leaving a narc situation now, literally feel like I'm coming back from a different universe. Yeah, really kind of feels that way. And the other, like, okay, are y'all okay if I like talk about like brain stuff with you? Because I think it's really interesting and it kind of explains why it feels that way. When you're in these relationships, I'm going to keep this kind of simple because otherwise it'll be boring. In our brain, it's like we have these 2 regions. One's like your emotional thinking brain and one's your logic thinking brain. And then there's different parts that work in those. The emotional thinking brain, that's what's in charge of your fight or flight. So when you're in these relationships, you're constantly being driven by the emotional parts of your brain because you're constantly in a state of fight or flight. It's just the level of intensity. And if you think about it, like you're always worried about the next blow up, you're walking on eggshells, you don't want to set them off, like you're in fight or flight this whole time. Well, when the emotional brain is being activated, the logic brain is literally put on hold because your logic brain's in charge of the stuff like digesting your food and making sure that you're breathing normal and, just the normal functioning. Well, if you think back into like the way olden times, if you're living in a cave and a tiger walks in a cave, you're not worried about digesting your food, you're worried about surviving. So like these parts kind of get put on the back burner. So when we get out of the relationship, we're no longer in this stressful, traumatic environment all the time. That this part, the emotion brain, can kind of start to relax. And now the logic starts to come back into play. And that's why obsessive thinking is such a big thing after we get out of it, because we're looking at it with these logical eyes and we're like, what the actual hell just happened to me? And cue the rest. Cognitive dissonance, obsessive thinking. Do I miss them? Do I not? Was I the problem? Were they the problem? Like, that's where this all starts. It's because you can actually, like, your brain can rest a little bit and then it starts to see things for what they are. It's very, very wild. That's why it feels like it's a whole separate universe. I went through your online program and it helps so much and eye-opening. Oh, I love that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad it was helpful. I was in the relationship for 18 months and we lived together for 10 of that. Sorry, I'm reading y'all. I know I probably have a really awkward look on my face right now. Ooh, I swear they all do something like this. After a 19-year marriage, not knowing what was happening, He told me he didn't love me anymore and moved in with a new supply 2 days later. That sucks. I have no contact with him and I'm still fighting to heal. And that is such like a that in itself feels like a betrayal. Like when they can just, well, it is a betrayal when they just move in with somebody or move in with somebody 2 days later. But that should also tell you like how codependent these people actually are, and how like when we talk about the word supply, it is like a life force for them. Like these people can't do life on their own. Like they are so wrapped in insecurities and codependency, and it's just masked with all this other stuff. Do they come back to us after they love bomb the new supply? Oh, so here's the thing when it comes, and my therapist told me this too, so essentially I'm just repeating what she said. But narcissistic people, things aren't necessarily always black or white. Like what we do is, what we talk about is there's a lot of gray areas, because just because we say like, yes, it is a very high tendency that narcissistic people cheat. Does that mean all narcissistic people cheat? No, we can't make those kinds of statements. And if people do make those kinds of statements, don't follow them anymore because it's not accurate. Sorry, that's just a pet peeve. But so can I say that like it's a guarantee that they come back after they love bomb the new supply? No. Could it happen? Yes. Is it guaranteed to happen? No. Because it's all very individualized. But here's the thing I will tell you, and I say this with love, truly do. If we are out, we don't need to be worried about what they're doing anymore. Because if we got out and we escaped, then even though we don't feel it yet, we're building that sense of freedom. The reality is we are free now. And what they do is, well, first of all, what they've done this entire time has never been about you, but what they're doing now really isn't. It doesn't have any weight into your life. They are doing this whole cycle with this next person, and God bless them, God protect them, but at least it's not me anymore, because I can now come over here and I can put my life back together. So I try to teach people like to kind of shift to where we just don't, almost like turn a blind eye, like don't worry about it. Don't worry about what they're doing. Just focus on you and focus on your healing. I've been single for over a year now. Is it normal that I still don't want to date? Yes. Yes. I'm really scared to find someone like him again. How long does it last as if you're ever away? Yes, it's normal. I'm gonna blink at my lap. I just realized y'all can see that. I'm on TikTok anyways. It is normal. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my dog. She's obnoxious. It is normal, and I can't sit here and tell you a timeline because I don't necessarily believe in putting timelines on things because everybody's situation is different. What I will tell you is you will know when you're ready, but you will also know when you're not. The only thing I don't want to see from people is don't let fear be the thing that prevents you from putting yourself out there again. Because in a way, that's them winning still. Is it scary? Yes, of course it is. And I would be surprised if you weren't at least scared about it. But just don't let them. And look, if you decide like I never want to date again, I'm good with life on my own, blah blah blah. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, I got to a place where I was really fine being single. I had gotten into my routine. Like I was good. And then I met my fiance. But I didn't like avoid that because I was scared. Like imagine if I had done that, I would be missing out on the relationship that I have now. But you'll know when you're ready, but you'll also know when you're not. And don't let other people convince you that you're ready when you know that you're not. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the studies on best people to have in emergency situations or trauma survivors? No, but that's not surprising because trauma survivors are resilient AF. And we're really good at keeping a level head in crisis because most of the time we've like lived through crisis. Hello, Danny again. When do you bring up what happened? I get this question quite a bit. It's a great question. When do you bring up what happened of the past relationship? The first thing that I will say is people need to earn your story. plain and simple. Because let's just be real, we're just going to call a spade a spade. Narcissistic people can be very good at masking who they are at first. So, is it a possibility that you could run into another narcissistic person and not find out for a couple months? Yes. And that part's not your fault. They're master manipulators. It's what do you do when you figure out that they are one? So, because of that, they have to earn your story. They have to earn the trust to hear your full story. So, what I did, because I think it's a normal question. Like, tell me about your past relationships, or like, what have you learned from your past relationships? I don't think there's anything wrong with that question. My fiance even asked me that, and what I told him was, I was very general. I said, well, my last relationship, it ended pretty badly. It was pretty toxic. There was a lot of lessons that were learned from it. The only thing I said was there was cheating and a lot of lying involved, and that's really all that I'm going to say right now. I would prefer to work on a need to know basis. So essentially, when he needed to know something, then I would tell him. But that's enough. Like, there was a lot of cheating, there was a lot of lying, it was toxic, and I learned a lot. And I just really left it at that. And the need to know basis for me was if I dealt with the trigger, I explained to him where the trigger came from. See, this is why I need to create some sort of dating again program. I just don't know what it would be. I don't want it to be like videos. I feel like that's super impersonal. I don't know, y'all. I gotta brainstorm. Or if y'all have ideas, feel free to tell me. I'm always open to suggestions and ideas. Sorry, reading comments. Making sure I didn't miss any questions. Oh, I did. Wait, hold on. I walked away 2 years ago and never looked back. I'm sticking to myself and healing for now. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's your own timeline. So again, you guys, and sorry if y'all been on this whole time. This is like the third time you're hearing this, but if you did not hear the announcement, I am doing a 42-day road to recovery program. So if you're struggling with the trauma bond, obsessive thinking, if you're struggling with the cognitive dissonance part, these are all very normal processes, especially when you're first out or you just have had a really hard time figuring out where to go from this. This program is specifically designed for those three struggles. We'll work together one-on-one for 6 weeks. I have like worksheets, you'll get recap emails, all this stuff. I'm only taking 10 people into the program since it's one-on-one. This is the only time that it's going to be a one-on-one program. It's moving to all virtual after that. If you have questions about it, don't hesitate to ask me. Just send me a direct message. Just send me a DM and I can answer any questions you've got. And you can also just do that, and I'll tell you more about it. But essentially, we'll work together one-on-one for 6 weeks. It's the only time it's one-on-one. I've had 2 people sign up already, but the first 5 they get an extra $100 off. So it's like absolutely the cheapest that it's going to be. And I'm cutting off enrollment just because my next clinical does start in January. So I'm trying to do this within that time frame. I'm probably cutting off enrollment for it. Let's see, today is on the, I don't want to necessarily give an exact date. It definitely won't be past the 27th. So like a week from today, that's when I'm actually cutting off the enrollment. So either when 10 people sign up or the 27th, one of those two, whichever one comes first. Sorry, my brain is just like not really functioning well today. Anyways, that's going on. If you got questions, DM me. We'll work it out. We'll figure it out. How do you navigate not putting all your trust into someone new that seems so great and not doubting? How do you navigate? Okay, so essentially, if I understand the question, like, how do you? It's almost like how do you emotionally not move too fast? Like, how do you not put all your trust into somebody that seems great right off the bat? I think it still goes back to the fact that like people need to be given the opportunity to show you consistency. And that's how they earn your trust and that's how they earn your story. Are they consistent? Everybody has bad days, but do they have more bad days than good? Or are they having the same kind of bad days? Is it just a one they have a bad day or they say something they shouldn't and immediately it's like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. This is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Like, do they immediately actually apologize? So you have to look for that. And that takes time. I mean, it just does. I can't give a specific time, but and you can also, how do I say this? Because this sounds a little manipulative, and I know that it does, but it's not. Like you can almost test it. Like you can give them a small part of your story that's maybe not as painful for you to share, and just see how they handle that. And that's not manipulative. That's just seeing what you can trust them with. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, that's what it is. But you need to have had time to see a consistent pattern of behavior, good or bad. Oh, I love this question. Okay. And we'll actually talk about this in the program quite a bit. So is rumination somewhat of trying to sort through the cognitive dissonance? Because I find in certain situations become clear to me rumination lessons. Great, great question. I was literally talking about this on my coaching call that I was on before this. In certain times, it's like cognitive dissonance and the obsessive thinking or rumination, they really do work together. And sometimes it's kind of one of those like, which came first, the chicken or the egg scenarios. We don't necessarily always know, okay, am I obsessively thinking about this because I have the dissonance? Or am I thinking about this so much I'm confusing myself? So they can go hand in hand. I also think that we ruminate over the things that we don't understand or the things that we don't have closure about. Like for me with the cheating part, that was what I ruminated over the most. I was never going to understand it. I was never going to have all the details to it. I didn't need all the details, but for whatever reason, I wanted them. So, yes, when we don't have the answer to something, we get stuck on it. I mean, if you think about it, when like our kids are working on their homework and they're working on a math problem and they get halfway through it, and then they say, I'm stuck because they can't figure it out. And so we can get stuck in rumination on things that we don't understand. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily really matter which one comes first, but that's how they work together. And that's what I mean. Like in this program, we're going to take things one out piece by piece. I want you to kind of picture almost like this ball of tangled up yarn that's all different colors. Because rumination is such a multifaceted thing that happens in our brain, we have to take it almost like one color at a time, unwinding it out of the ball until everything's loosened up. So that's kind of the visual of what the program is doing, because they all do work together. Rumination can keep you in the trauma bond, dissonance can keep you ruminating, and blah, blah, blah. It's gross and a mess. So, and it's very difficult to figure out by yourself. So that's what I'm here for, is to help with that. I'm just out of a toxic and controlling relationship. How can I move on from it? And what do you think I should do to move on? So that's a very loaded question, just because there's not like a one sentence answer for all of that. But what I will tell you is there's like phases to this. I think the first phase, it's called the education phase, and it's where you're just learning and understanding these behaviors. The dangerous part of that phase is we can get very stuck in it because it's very addicting, because it brings some clarity to the situation and we get addicted to that clarity. People get stuck in the education phase a lot. From the education phase, then I think you really have to work on actually breaking the pieces of the trauma bond apart. And this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about, like the rumination, the cognitive dissonance, the self blame and guilt, the self deprecation. Once you can break through that, then you can actually start working on the repairing and rebuilding, because we have to like break free from the emotional connection from them first before we can really deal with the actual trauma, because they're separate. I got over my ex as a person way faster than I did the actual trauma of my experience. They're two separate hurdles. And I don't say this to be discouraging. I say this because it's like there's a roadmap to it. And you have to you can't move on to one step until you've done the other one, kind of thing. And then once you can deal with the trauma part, then that's where it's like, okay, how do I set up the safeguards in my life to where I don't lose any parts of who I am, but I also don't put up with this kind of behavior again either. So it definitely is a process and different mile markers in the road. I hope that kind of helped. I'm not alone. Okay, sorry. Oh, ew. Sorry, Facebook. I just saw that some bots hopped into the live, so let me take care of that. Wait. Okay, y'all bear with me for 1 second. I'm trying to fix something over here. I love how these bots, like these robots, word things on these platforms, like this one. Being with a narcissist is so mystifying. Mystifying. Not the word that I would use, but okay. Have y'all seen these? They're like everywhere. They're all over. Facebook's the worst. The bots are really bad on Facebook. They were really bad on TikTok for a while, but they've gotten better. They were really bad on TikTok for a while. I don't know if this one's one or not. It threw me off balance. I started noticing. I think this one is. I'm going to delete this one. If you're a real person, feel free to redo it, but that looks very bot-like to me. Okay, so sorry. I told y'all my brain's a fun place. How do you get rid of the obsessive thoughts and crazy out of character behaviors? We've kind of been talking about that a little bit today. And again, if it is something that you truly are struggling with, that's what the 42-day program is for, is these obsessive thoughts, the dissonance, just the trauma bond, really. All this is part of that. And again, there's not really one like, oh, here you go. Here's the magic pill for it. A little preview of what I will tell you is what we don't realize is that the obsessive thinking and the ruminating starts in the relationship. It just looks different. In the relationship, it's like the walking on the eggshells. Are they lying? Are they telling the truth? Are they really where they say that they are? Was this argument really my fault? I don't want to set them off, the tiptoeing around them. That's in a way, a form of obsessive thoughts and ruminating in the relationship. And it becomes a habit. And so when you get out of the relationship, the habit is still there. It just looks different now. So maybe it's like my out of character behavior was cyber stalking. I never did that with anybody before, especially an ex, and I could not stop. I could not control myself. Felt very addictive. Some people cyber stalk the new supply. They're checking on them. Oh, sorry. If you're on TikTok, I just gotta. Oh no. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry, I got a low battery warning. So, but there's different out of character behaviors associated with all of this. What I will tell you, what was most helpful for me, if I can just give you a quick thing that you can do right now, is I started to set up healthy distractions. So I started to do things that were real self-care, not like society self-care. So I was doing like quality time with friends, quality time with family. I started getting back into touch with my spiritual life. I started to journal every day. Like I was doing things that helped me with my mental health, and not like if y'all ever heard the phrase, like it filled my cup. Like I was doing things like that. And I was always doing at least one thing a day that just took care of me. And that truly did help, because it gave me something else to focus on. And it also helped me start living life again. When you start living life again, um, you start to realize how sweet life is without them. Is the 42-day program something you can sign up for? Yes. So you can actually go straight to the link in my bio if you're on TikTok, and that page is on there. The first 5 people are getting an extra $100 off because this is a brand new launch, and we'll work together one-on-one for 6 weeks on all of this fun stuff. I'll make it fun. Well, the talks will be fun. The work's not always fun, but we'll have fun. We'll hang out. We'll grab coffee, get our yellow mugs, all that stuff. But yes, you can go straight to the link in my bio, but you can also just send me a message and I'll answer any questions you've got if you have any. Have y'all noticed I always have to have something in my hand? It's like a nervous energy. What's it all about? If like the 42-day program, is that what the question is? Sorry. How long is too long to still be holding on? I'm struggling 2 years later. I don't think there's an answer to that question. The reason I don't think there's an answer to that question is everybody's experience is unique to themselves. Everybody's also dealt with different things in their life that's allowed them to build resiliency. You have to remember that resiliency really truly is a skill set. What I will say is if you feel like what you have been doing isn't working, then seek support from somebody, whether it's me or another content creator, to try something different. But there's still not a timeline because but as long as you feel like you are moving forward, even if it's baby steps, you're moving forward. But if you feel like you are genuinely stuck, then I would seek support. But to answer the question about what's the 42-day program about, so the top 3 things that it's designed for is feeling like you're still stuck in the trauma bond to the narcissistic person. If you're struggling with like the obsessive thoughts or rumination, whatever it might be called, whatever you want to call it, or the cognitive dissonance. We work together for 6 weeks one-on-one. We only actually meet together once a week. A lot, like we'll work together, personalize it. You'll have strategies and worksheets that you'll work on for that next week. And then we meet together like, okay, how did this go? Did that work good? Are we good to move on? Okay. The best metaphor that I can give for this program, all of this stuff like the trauma bond, rumination, cognitive dissonance, it's like this ball of yarn that's made with all different colors. And there's a lot of different things that are playing into this. So there's grief, there's I miss them, there wasn't my fault, there's self-deprecation, there's rumination, there's the cognitive dissonance, all this stuff. And we can't just like tear it apart. We literally have to take it one color at a time. So we deal with the yellow strand. Okay, that one's out. We're good with that. Now we're going to deal with the red strand. Okay, that one's out. We're good with that. So we literally are taking it apart one piece at a time until it's loosened up. And then that's when you're now ready to actually start the rebuild phase, because we have to get rid of this stuff. It's really hard to move on and move forward in your life when we're constantly thinking about what happened or when we're still emotionally connected to them. So that's what it is. This is the only time the program's going to be in person, like one-on-one. It's moving to virtual after that. And I'm only taking 10 people, or I'm cutting off the registration at the 27th, whichever one comes first. And if you have questions, just send me a DM, or if you're on TikTok, you can just go straight to the link in my bio. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Wait, I don't work with the narcissist. They need to work with their self first, correct? Did I miss another comment before that? I think if I understand what you're saying, like I'm gonna rephrase it, and maybe it'll resonate with you. It's not your job to fix them. Period in the story. Here's the thing. We all have our crap. I want to say another word, but we all have our crap, okay, that we all have to deal with. And good luck meeting someone these days that doesn't have some sort of trauma. And you know what? Like, I think that's been true for generations. I just think we're getting better about talking about it and the fact that we have it. But my trauma is not my fiance's responsibility. His only responsibility is to create a safe space for me to deal with my trauma or to process my trauma. It's not his job to fix it. It's not his job to deal with my trigger or to fix my triggers. It's my job to work on that stuff. And for me, yes, it's the same thing with a narcissistic person. It's nobody's job to fix them. If you didn't break them, it's not your responsibility to fix it. Period. End of story. This part, I say very delicately. You have probably given them multiple chances and have created a safe space for them to work on themselves. And if they have continually shot that down, then you're done. You've done everything that you could have and more than you should have at that point. Hang on, I'm reading a comment. Okay, so essentially, you stopped messaging them. They messaged you and acted like everything's okay, typical. They apologize for things and say that they didn't know. And then the next day they're angry again and don't want to talk. Well, that's a narcissistic person for you. And then they say, wow, you take anything wrong. It sounds like they're still doing the same exact crap that they did during the relationship. Like that's what they did. No, at least that's what mine did. Like they have this outburst and they make a hole of themselves. And then when you call them out on it, you're the sensitive one and you take anything wrong. What that should show you, by the way, that experience, let that be a reminder that you weren't the problem. Like, especially if you've gotten out and this is all like post relationship, like that just shows you like they are who they are. And that's not going to change unless a lot of time and a lot of therapy has passed for them. If there's one thing I've learned, you'll never fix a narcissist. Nope. Have a friend. Making sure I didn't miss anything. I think we're caught up. Okay, my phone is about to die probably in the next like 5 minutes. So does anybody else have any last minute questions, comments, things to make you laugh, whatnot? In a healthy marriage now, and I'm still catching myself asking permission to do things. It's okay. I mean, truly, like, girl, that is so real. I've been with my fiance for 3 years now, and there are times where I still catch myself waiting for the shoe to drop. He called my ass out the other day. Oh, I just got sunlight. It's fine. But he called me out the other day. He was just like, stop waiting for the shoe to drop. If it's going to drop, it's going to drop by now. I was like, ew, don't act like you know me. What if they tell you you're the narcissist and you're questioning if you are? Well, that's what they do. That's called deflection. They want you to stay in your head questioning whether or not you are the problem, so that way you're not focused on what they're doing and the fact that they are the problem. It's a deflection and a distraction technique. It's kind of like when you're trying to oh, that's a good story for Friday. Friday's my group coaching. Yeah. Y'all, my group coaching is so much fun, by the way. It's totally different than my 42-day program. Like, if y'all want to see me in hot mess express mode, join my group coaching. We have a lot of fun, but it's productive still too. But we have a lot of fun. It's a great group of people too. What do you do when okay, so if they've been telling you that you're the narcissist, you're questioning it, but it's been happening so much that you actually believe it. My challenge to you is to take out a piece of paper and take out a pen, and I want you to write down proof that you know that you're not one. And so this is things like, do you care for them? Do you want, like, do you blame them for everything? Do you show them basic human emotions? Are they meeting your needs? And you essentially just need to do like a compare and contrast. Like, are they bringing out the best in you, or are they bringing out the worst in you? When's the last time that they've apologized? When's the last time that you've apologized? And when I say apologize, like, I mean, like, I am sorry. By the way, y'all, I'm sorry. That's a full sentence. It should stop there. I'm sorry. Not I'm sorry, but, not I'm sorry you, not I'm sorry that, I'm sorry. Period. Full sentence. They can't do that. And it's also not a, well, I regret my actions. That's not an apology. What if you aren't sure you're with a narcissist? My answer to that question is always usually the same. Yes, you can send me questions later. My answer to that question is always the same. Like, if you aren't sure that you're with a narcissist, take the label out. Ultimately, at the end of the, in the content that I make and the niche that I'm in, I don't care about the label. What matters is, how are you feeling in this relationship day in and day out? Do you feel like you have to put yourself in a box in order to make this work? Do you feel like you have to hide certain aspects of yourself in order to make this work? I'm not talking about healthy compromise. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do I have to make myself smaller in order to avoid conflict and in order for them to feel a certain way? Am I stressed? Do I have anxiety? Is every time that we have a disagreement, does it turn into a blow up or rage texting or raging out? By the way, go watch my most recent TikTok too about that. Very interesting reaction video that I did. If the answer to most of those questions is yes, it doesn't matter if they're a narcissist or not. It's not a healthy relationship. Toxic is toxic. You took the words out of my mouth. It doesn't need a label. It's about, if it's not, okay, I'm going to use my dating analogy. If you're in my group coaching, I've used this before. We're in the holiday season, right? My job every Thanksgiving is to make the pumpkin pie. So I have a question for y'all, so don't leave yet. What do people put on a pumpkin pie? That's not part of the ingredients. It's not what you have to make, but what do people put on top of it usually? And I'm going to wait until some people answer. I want to see if y'all do the same thing that we do here in the South. What do people put on top of pumpkin pie? Wow, say that 5 times fast. Well, cinnamon's in it. Maybe some people do put it on top. I don't know. Whipped cream. There it is. Whipped cream and Cool Whip. Now my next question, the yes or no. Do you need whipped cream to make a pumpkin pie? I don't know. I don't put anything on it. I don't either. But do you need that to make the pumpkin pie? No, you do not. This is how relationships work. You have to view yourself that I am everything that I need. I am the whole damn pie. I am the nutmeg. I am the cinnamon. I am the Eagle brand milk. I'm the freaking pumpkin. I am everything that I need, and this is enough. What a relationship is, it's the Cool Whip that you put on top that helps take it to the next level, but you don't need it to complete it. And it's the same thing with relationships. If they aren't helping you get to the next level, I'm preaching. If they are not helping you get to the next level, it is not worth it. And it's not there to complete it. You don't need anybody to complete you. I understand what people say about, like, this is my better half and all that. And it's a very sweet thing. But the reality is, you don't need anybody to complete you. They either take you to the next level or they water you down. There's no in between. And if they aren't doing that, and I know there's rough times in relationships and blah, 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 and we can talk about all the what ifs and the nooks and the crannies and the 3.25 situations and all of that. Overall speaking, if they're not helping take you to the next level, they're watering you down, and it's not worth it. Say it louder for the people in the back. And I'll leave y'all with that. Before my phone dies, I will leave y'all with my sermon. I was raised Southern Baptist, y'all. I got a little bit of preacher in me. It is what it is. But for real, though, that's my viewpoint on it. And that's where I got right before I met my fiance. And I laid that out for him too. Like, boy, you either helping me or you hurting to which one's it gonna be? To So anyways, I hope that was helpful. Thank you guys for the questions and for the interaction. Sorry I haven't been live in so long. I know I don't need to apologize, but I'm going to. Life truly got insane. Um, I know everybody says that, but I just needed a break. And I appreciate y'all still being here after I took my break. That means more to me than I think y'all will ever know, because the faith that you guys have in me sometimes really does outweigh the faith I have in myself in this. And I've gotten a lot better. I needed the break. I needed a chance to reevaluate why I'm doing this and all of that. It was much needed. And so I'm happy to be back. And I've genuinely missed this. But before I get emotional, I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. If I'm not on here before, I'm going to try to go live on Friday. But y'all know I never promise when I'm going live because I set myself up for failure for that. I hope y'all have a great Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful start to the new year. If I don't see y'all before then, and if you do have any questions about the 42-day program, please don't hesitate to direct message me. I'm very, very excited. This is what I'm passionate about. It's that one-on-one interaction, working with people on their specific struggles. So I'm very, very excited about this program. So if you have questions, please let me know. And I will answer any questions that you got. Outside of that, I got to go make dinner. So much love to all of you guys. And I will see y'all on the next live, hopefully Friday. But again, I just clicked that and moved it. I didn't mean to do that. If you're on TikTok, you're watching me have fun. Okay. All right. Y'all have a good night. I got to go. Bye.